anos 60. A explosão do crescimento econômico e da liberação sexual. Os conflitos agora eram políticos. A Guerra Fria aterrorizava o mundo e a corrida armamentista estava a todo vapor. Andy Warhol inventou a pop art em Nova York. Marilyn Monroe morreu em circunstâncias misteriosas, longe da família Kennedy. Os Stones arrepiavam com seu disco Satisfaction. E 4 jovens britânicos causavam as primeiras cenas de histeria coletiva. O sonho de Méliès se tornou realidade. Os espectadores de televisão estavam maravilhados. Em 21 de julho de 69, Neil Armstrong foi o primeiro homem a pisar na Lua. A obsessão do público pela televisão preocupava Hollywood, que reagiu com superproduções. Ben-Hur, El Cid, Lawrence da Arábia e Cleópatra, um fracasso total. John Wayne, a lenda do faroeste, morreu sem sua arma. Steve MacQuen e Natalie Wood eram 2 estrelas que simbolizavam um sonho arrasado por uma tragédia. No entanto, o suicídio acabou dando sentido às suas vidas e a seu relacionamento.
I dreamt of filming a western, the western of my life. As soon as I read the script of Nevada Smith, I knew that this was it. Nevada Smith was like me.
Who are you? Smith. Nevada Smith.
He reminded me of my lonely youth. Like me, he could have turned out bad. He was an outcast. And like me, in the end, he was a good guy.
Friend of Jessica's.
I'm the one who killed him.
Any man that could take Jessica with a knife had to be some man.
Some men kill because they have to, and some because they like to. Killer and much, much more. Nevada Smith, now a name, soon a legend. It takes both kinds to make a story as savage and sensational as Nevada Smith.
I was born in 1930 in a small town in Indiana. My father, who was a stunt flyer, disappeared after I was born. Abandoned by my mother, I had a difficult childhood on my uncle's farm in Missouri. I looked for the father who I never knew all my life. I was an uneducated, unpolished country boy, a real loser. This difficult upbringing may have actually been my chance. My uncle got rid of me, sending me to the Boys' Republic of Chino under the number 3188. This reform school, I was able now without difficulty to acquire a basic education, which my family could not give me. There's a commemorative plaque today which reads, "When Steve MacQuen arrived here, he was a boy with problems. When he left, he was a man." After Chino, I enlisted in the Army. When I was 18, I thought I knew everything and had seen everything. I knocked around, did all sorts of jobs all over the world. I started so low I could only rise. If I hadn't got ahead, I would have probably ended up a crook. I went to Hollywood in 1956 to work as an extra. I landed a role in Somebody Up There Likes Me with Paul Newman. Newman was already a star, with the status of a star. Limousine, chauffeur, secretary. He used to watch TV in his trailer whilst waiting to be taken to the set. I watched him from a distance, something I'll never forget. I got my revenge in 1974 on the set of The Towering Inferno. The first experience was not decisive, and I decided to return to New York to find a job. In fact, I ran into love at a party where I met Neely, who became my wife for 17 years. We married on November 2nd, 1956. I continued to act, but I didn't get the leading roles. The critics were reserved. I had to wait until the following year before things changed rather unexpectedly. I was filming an episode of Trackdown, a TV series about the Texas Rangers. The producer decided to stop it because he wanted to replace it with another where the hero was a bounty hunter. Wanted, Dead or Alive was created. I saw myself as Josh Randall. Like me, he was a loner. Guy with a taste for danger. Cynicism of James Cagney, the wildness of Humphrey Bogart, and the brilliance of an uncut diamond like John Garfield. This was how the critics welcomed my appearance in this TV series.
Steve MacQuen ganhou fama instantânea graças ao seriado. E o cinema, sempre em busca de um novo talento, o agarrou. Jon Sturges estava preparando Império de um Gangster com Frank Sinatra e ofereceu a Steve um papel coadjuvante. A crítica se dividiu em relação ao filme, mas foi unânime em relação ao ator. Para Steve foi a glória. Os anos negros tinham ficado para trás e Terry Leslie, seu primeiro filho, acabara de nascer.
I was in Hollywood. Better, I was successful. John Sturges wanted to work with me again and offered me a role in The Magnificent Seven beside Yul Brynner. Yul wasn't a good horseman and slow with his gun. He didn't like me giving him advice on how to handle guns. He was the star, the movie's big star, but you had to laugh. Brynner wouldn't listen to me, who was raised on a ranch. Horses and guns, that's what I know about.
Ele logo se tornou uma das figuras mais conhecidas dos Estados Unidos. O público o idolatrava e reconhecia seu talento. Os estúdios o disputavam à tapa. O segundo filho de Steve, Chadwick Stevens, nasceu nessa época.
I did several movies before working with John Sturges again, and The Great Escape. I played Hiltz, a rebel soldier with a big heart. This was the chance for me to show my passion for motorcycles in a movie which was based on a true story of British and American prisoners of war in a German camp. It's strange, but I've rarely met men of his caliber in real life. How about you? I only dreamt of one thing at the time, to be acclaimed in the most difficult roles which didn't only require my looks. I met a new partner, Natalie Wood, on the set of Love with a Proper Stranger. The character of an unrepentant but romantic seducer suited me in a lot of respects.
Orson Welles lembrava bem da pequena Natalie, tão natural e esperta que o assustava. Natalie foi a criança mais extraordinária com quem Welles trabalhou. Já era profissional como os adultos. Ela nasceu profissional.
I was born on July 20th, 1938. My mother was the dancer Maria Kulev, and my father, Nicholas Gurdon, a set designer. I began acting at the age of 4, a little by chance. I was compared with Shirley Temple, another child star. I was in 8 movies in 5 years. My partners were Rex Harrison, James Stewart, Bing Crosby, or Rock Hudson. I didn't have a childhood. I only knew life in the studios. I didn't see myself growing up. I always worked hard, but I don't ever remember being unhappy. The cinema controlled me. It gave my life a meaning. Lastly, I believed in it. The years went by. I became a talented girl who could perhaps get leading roles.
Girls don't love their father.
Nicholas Ray launched me in 1955. It was a real miracle. I embodied difficult, unhappy American youth in Rebel Without a Cause. And my kiss with James Dean lit the hearts of millions of teenagers. I married Robert Wagner 2 years later. I thought that I had found happiness with a man who shared my passion for the cinema. I went from success to success. All everyone talked about was me. I was forgiven for everything, including my starlet escapades. It was the time of romances which the magazines adored. They wanted to know everything about me. I became mythic, untouchable, and unreal. There is nothing worse for a small princess than to have the world at her feet. Destiny would make me pick up the bill a few years.
O encontro de Natalie Wood com Steve McQuen foi passageiro, mas inesquecível, pelo menos para os fãs da dupla. Depois do intervalo, você vai ver os outros sucessos dela e dele que marcaram época no cinema. Em instantes. Elia Kazan disse que Natalie Wood era intensa e radical. Com seu rostinho claro e seus grandes olhos castanhos, ela olhava para você tão intensamente que quase o sufocava. Natalie era faminta, espiritualmente faminta. Ela ansiava por novas experiências, conquistava pessoas e papéis apenas com seus olhos. Olhos que detonariam uma guerra entre as duas gangues de Amor Sublime Amor, de Robert Wise, com música de Leonard Bernstein.
Tonight, I'll see my love tonight, and for our start we'll stop where they are.
O filme filme foi um grande sucesso. Custou mais de 7 milhões de dólares, recuperados em 6 meses. O mundo inteiro queria ver o filme. Todos queriam admirar a jovem notável que conquistara tantos corações. Todos queriam fazer parte de seu sucesso.
I just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be.
Foi a glória total para Natalie, mas a sua vida particular não era tão brilhante. Seu casamento não ia bem, aparentemente devido às constantes separações causadas pelas filmagens. Para surpresa geral, ela se divorciou.
As soon as Bob and I broke up, I began to feel loneliness. Throughout my life, I went to psychiatrists to learn how to confront this fear. I tried to put my life back together with their help, but their advice was useless. I don't think that they can do anything when you are in love. In order to try and put myself back together again, and to hide my fear of giving all of myself, I looked for the solution to my personal struggle in men. I never succeeded in lying in movies. How was I to do this in my personal life? It was then that I met a man who had succeeded in finding himself. A man who, through his struggle to get to the top, fascinated me.
When I was introduced to Natalie by Robert Mulligan, her personality, although I was completely happy with Neely and the kids, aroused something
No, I
in me.
mean it. I really mean it. You look like a woman.
How can you manage to make even a compliment sound like a slap in the face?
Well, what did I say? You look like a woman. I apologize. Excuse me. You look like a man.
Ironical in a way, the theme of the movie brought us together. I played Rocky, a jazz musician who falls in love with Angela, played by Natalie.
Do you want to get married?
Well, who wants to get married?
You mean, even though you don't want to marry me, you're willing to do it anyway?
Well, I'm just as much to blame as you are. More. It was my fault, the whole thing, and I'm willing to take my medicine.
And I'm the medicine, right?
I just don't know what it is. All you have to do is just look at me and...
I've got a man who wants to get married, and he wants to get married to me. And if I don't hear the bells and the banjos ringing every time I look at him, then I can just live without the bells and the banjos. Because I sure don't hear them when I look at you either.
Now wait.
No, get away from me. Just get away from me, please. Now I never want to see you again. Get out. Go. I mean it. Go.
We were both at the peak of our glory. We were regarded as an extraordinary couple. But I sensed a deep unease in her.
Come on, Angela.
Despite her professionalism, she seemed to be letting things go. Like me, she didn't know how to lie. Me, I'd learned how to fight. She had only just learned how to appear to be existing.
When I filmed with Steve, I thought that I had found the man I needed. I also thought that I was the woman he was looking for. I was mistaken. Because although he had seen other women up until then, he always remained in love with Nellie. Some stars say that they would give up everything, money, fame, to find the man of their dreams. In an ideal world, I would continue to play intelligent roles, but what I want with all my heart is a happy home and to raise children. I'm hoping to be able to reconcile these two needs. Whatever happens, I'll never stop acting. Being beautiful, rich, and famous is not always an advantage. Being seen is not enough for being happy. Movie stars always chase after love, as though it's an impossible dream. Love is as fragile as a soap bubble.
Ela se casou com Richard Gregson e os dois tiveram uma filha, Natasha. O casamento durou 2 anos. Sua vida era uma sucessão de filmagens, premieres e cerimônias. No entanto, longe das câmeras e do público, Natalie sentia-se só e infeliz e chegou a tentar o suicídio tomando soníferos. Em 69, voltou a fazer sucesso com o filme Bob, Carol, Ted e Alice, de Paul Mazursky, e decidiu se casar com Robert Wagner pela segunda vez em 72.
We both had a feeling which was strangely like falling in love for a second time. Bob detached himself from his work, and I drew closer, not by desperately clinging to him, but by letting him be free. Up until then, we had never had the time to have a child. Why had we been so blinded by our existence? We were so happy when Courtney came along to join Natasha. Nothing could separate us. I was always spoilt more by the cinema than by life. And there are often tears behind the forced smile which you can't forget. On Saturday, November 28th, 1981, my lifeless body will be found floating 2 miles from the yacht where I've spent so many happy moments.
Enquanto isso, Steve colhia os louros de sua fama. Ele atuou ao lado de Anne Margaret, Edward G. Hobson e Carl Malden em A Mesa do Diabo, onde cai nas garras de uma mulher muito perigosa e tenta fugir da máfia.
In a world where everything is left to chance, men and women will gamble on anything.
He's got him! He's got him!
O público o adorava.
The kid. And Melba, always willing to gamble with someone else's life.
Do you have to cheat at everything?
The Cincinnati Kid. No limits.
No fix.
No rules.
See you later.
Romantic dynamite. Steve MacQuen, Edward G. Robinson, Anne Margaret, Carl Malden, Tuesday Weld, Joan Blondell, Rip Torn, Jack Weston, Cab Calloway, and the voice of Ray Charles.
The Cincinnati Kid.
Robert Wise.
Robert Wise hesitou antes de dar a Steve o papel principal em O Canhoneiro do Yangtze. O nome preferido do diretor era Kirk Douglas, mas ele mudou de ideia após o sucesso de A Mesa do Diabo.
The Richard McKenna's prize-winning bestseller. You share the incredible adventures of these powerful, deeply human characters, whose courage became a legend in this fabulous land. From China's ancient rice paddies to Shanghai's teeming bund, from the bandits of Chongqing Lake and the Yangtze River to the pleasure haunts of Hankow and the seamy hideaways of Changsha. The camera has never captured such visual excitement, such a vast revealing spectacle of the Orient, of an American gunboat patrolling its troubled waters, and of the handful of strangers caught up.
The success of The Kid resulted in me co-producing The Sand Pebbles. I played Jake Holman, a loner not fighting for any particular ideal.
Jake Holman, the young, restless outsider, and Candice Bergen as Shirley Eckert, who understood this land she loved, but not the man she wanted.
It ain't gonna work, Shirley.
Why? It's good up there, Jake. It can be a good life.
Richard Attenborough as Frenchie, tough, hardened, but capable of the heights of tenderness. And Marriott Andriani as Melee, the haunting beauty of many pleasures. Prize for the highest bidder.
I'll do what you want. You bought me.
I didn't buy you. I don't want it to be like that between us.
And Richard Crenna as the captain, whose tiny gunboat held their lives and their loves in the balance, as it suddenly achieved world importance.
We will make one last savage thrust deep into China. And if San Pablo dies, she dies.
It was unlucky that the movie was released when American troops were fighting in Vietnam. The reception was very cool. The critics shot the whole team down in flames.
Here is the master of the art of filmmaking, Robert Wise, at his best.
I continued to claim that it was my best role, although I didn't get an Oscar
Here is
or
an
public
unparalleled
recognition.
emotional experience.
I tried a new type of character with The Thomas Crown Affair by Norman Jewison.
Who are you after?
Yours.
Mine.
Yours.
I played an elegant millionaire, a seducer who organizes an armed robbery through resentment and boredom. It was a commercial success, but I didn't like the role. I really prefer action, which I found in Bullet by Peter Yates. I took all of the risk in this movie, refusing a stuntman. The car chase through the street of San Francisco remains a piece of movie history today.
way Frank Bullet's swinging, you know he's heading for a crash with that wall of official disapproval.
You believe what you want. You work your side of the street, and I'll work mine.
Car racing fanatic, I co-produced Champions. However, the fans didn't like it, and it was a painful flop. But I don't care about being a star. The main thing for me is to make movies for real, without faking. I went through a bad patch. My marriage was struggling, but I couldn't go through with a separation. I divorced in 1972, the year that Natalie found renewed happiness with Robert Wagner and remarried him. If clouds were appearing on the family front, I was enjoying renewed success with my movies.
Your identification? Oh, right there. Get those guns down on the street. Take them over. Now lay down that gutter. In the gutter.
Well, maybe we should split up. Cut up the money with you.
Do you mean that?
Yeah, I mean it.
My meeting with Ali McGraw was interesting, and Getaway, the movie we made together, was regarded like a UFO in the movie world. It was the first time that the heroes escaped both the police and mafia after robbing a bank.
MacQuen, McGraw, The Getaway. Rated PG.
However, the reception for the next movie, The Towering Inferno by John Gilliman, was extraordinary.
Steve McQueen. Paul Newman. William Holden. Faye Dunaway. Fred Astaire. Susan Blakely. Richard Chamberlain. Jennifer Jones. O.J. Simpson. Robert Vaughn.
I was a firefighter, but I also had to fight the negligence of the builders, and I found myself with my partner of the beginning, Paul Newman, the architect responsible for the disaster.
Worrying about me? What about me down there worrying about
I had a fight on my hands for my name to be above his in the credits and to have the same number of lines.
Ele só precisou de 3 falas e um olhar para superar o prestígio e a astúcia de Paul Newman.
Now, the producer of the Poseidon Adventure brings you more spectacle, more stars, more suspense than you've ever seen in one motion picture. Steve McQueen is the fire chief. Paul Newman is the architect. Step by step, floor by floor, this is a race against time to save hundreds of people trapped in a night of blazing suspense as the world's tallest building becomes the Towering Inferno.
Mais uma vez, a cena final entrou para a história, assim como a forma como McQueen dá as costas para Newman e diz: "Adeus, arquiteto, se precisar de mim, sabe onde me achar."
The Towering Inferno.
Antes de morrer, Steve interpretou outro caçador de recompensas, o aventureiro solitário que sempre foi para o público. O ator que amava a velocidade morreu na cama em 7 de novembro de 1980. Seu corpo foi cremado e suas cinzas jogadas no Oceano Pacífico. Ele costumava dizer que a vida era uma grande fraude. No fim, seu câncer pode ter sido apenas uma grande raiva, adquirida 20 anos antes. O cinema uniu o órfão e a menina prodígio de Hollywood. 2 vidas, 2 destinos, 2 infâncias difíceis. 2 nomes que ficarão em nossa memória e alimentarão nossos segredos mais íntimos por muito tempo.
To a tunnel of its own, down a hollow to a cavern where the sun has never shone, like a door that keeps revolving in a half-forgotten dream, or the ripples from a pebble someone tosses in a stream, like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face, and the world is like an apple whirling silently in space, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind. Keys that jingle in your pocket, words that jangle in your head. Why did summer go so quickly? Was it something that you said? Lovers walk along the shore and leave their foot